Oh, what are what are we? Is this First Contact? Are you aboard?
Those things did look like they were from First Contact, didn't they?
Hey John, happy Monday.
Rob? Yeah, I just finished shoveling myself out of like whatever the F this was. But that was fun times.
Can I just say that the older we get, the more like the residual pain lasts a much longer time from shoveling snow, because I was up at 6 o'clock this morning to shovel. My wife and son were going to head out for a doctor's appointment downtown, and they're planning to take the go, because I said, don't drive in downtown Toronto with the snow, not realizing that when I opened the garage to go shovel that I was already 3 feet down. I was like, what the hell is happening? Not fun, man. Not fun. How long did it take you to shovel out of your palatial estate? Because you have a house. If I correct me if I'm wrong, John, you have a house that has it's like a 7-car driveway with gates. Privacy gates. It's a gated area. So how long did it take you?
A big MC Hammer logo on it.
Right. Yeah. How long did it take you?
I had to do it in like 3 parts. So I did do it in the morning. My daughter had a dental procedure, just some cavity stuff or whatever. And the place calls me and is like, "Hey, are you coming?" I'm like, I was planning. I'm working on it. Like I'm shoveling now. I'm working on it. And they're like, "Yeah, it's just." I don't know what this lady's problem was, but she was like, "It's just some snowfall." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, whatever. Let me get rolling through this." And I almost got stuck 2 or 3 times on the way there. So I actually wanted to be like, ring them by the collar and go, "Yo, you should have probably said it's pretty rough outside. So just let us know if you can't make it today." But
yeah, wow, you were brave. But I mean, you got a Hummer to go along with the rest of your vehicles. So
I drove my regular car, which I should have switched to my wife's car, which is an SUV. But it was really dicey. So shout outs to anyone who had to go to work, anyone who had to trudge through this. If you were on public transit, you were probably still waiting at the bus stop, because I heard like 500 something buses are stuck. Right now, I see people all over social media, people posting pictures of these buses stuck. So that sucks.
I actually still have I have the hair that I had when I pulled my hat off just before because I was back.
That's why I've got like this slick back thing. I had to go through like 2 hats. The first one was soaked.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the Heroes World Sidekick Show. We are live. It is Monday, January the 17th, for those who are going to be listening later on. John and I just rapping about the horrible snowfall that we got. They're saying, John, that parts of the GTA were going to get up to 60 centimeters. They figured it was higher than they had anticipated. So it felt like we got about 60 centimeters of snow. But to those, as John said, who had to go to work today, hopefully you made it home okay. And to those who got to work from home, hopefully you had a day that watching movies in the background. Much like myself, John, I watched a couple
shout outs to my neighbor who didn't even bother to shovel, and they're just like, F it. The whole thing is like this giant dune. Sorry, Scott, we're gonna say dune. But a dune of just snow, and I think they're just not planning to go anywhere anytime soon.
Are they even home?
Yeah, they're home. I saw them shovel out like the little bit of their walkway, and I think they just threw the shovel in the air and we're like, F it. Shout out to Sarah who says, why have kids when you don't have them to shovel the snow? Unfortunately, my kids aren't of age yet. They're at the age where they're just getting in your way while you're trying to shovel.
Right.
You get them all dressed up, you bring them outside, and you're like, yeah, let's shovel. And they do a couple of shovels, they run around, they play in the snow, and then they're like, I want to go back inside. So I'm like, I just took up 20 minutes of my time.
Yeah, and they don't do straight lines. They're all over the place. My kids actually, I shoveled this morning at 6, about 90 minutes, and then they went out later on in the day a couple of times and helped, because it just kept dropping, John. It was so defeatist. You'd be shoveling, and I'd be like exhausted. I was soaked, and I looked behind me, and it was like another 2 feet had already accumulated this morning. It was just coming hard and fast, unlike you at prom night. So I was just like
the prom night joke.
Yes. So, but my kids, so just Sarah, I can rent mine out to shovel snow if you'd like. But we're not here to talk about our snow woes, John. We are here to talk about, we are kicking off our 90s action movie bracket. And if you were the first time here, hey, welcome and thanks for joining us. Last year, John and I did an 80s. What is the best 80s action movie? Went through a bracket, and every week we pitted two movies against each other until we whittled it down, and the winner was Die Hard, which is obviously no surprise there. And we've been really clamoring for the past year or so to be doing this bracket, the 90s action bracket. John, we're not gonna, we'll wait till after our news and our previews, but I will say maybe our memory of action movies maybe more for 95 onwards. I'm not sure how this first part of the decade is going to hold up.
I think it came to me as I was watching one of the movies, and I was like, I think we were maybe taking it a little too seriously, and we probably should have some of the movies that we didn't, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit at the end. Maybe some of the movies that we like cut really quickly, we should have kept because we should have been looking for fun factor. And we should have been looking for rewatchability, not just like, oh, I remember this was really good when I was a kid. So when we get into it, I think we're gonna have to discuss a little bit of that. So shout out to everyone in the chat. I see Gord in there, Sarah's in there, Lewis is in there, Fraser's in there. I don't know if I missed anybody yet. Yeah, Jesse's in there. What's up?
Lewis Fraser was telling people to make sure your furnace vents are clear. So your furnace exhaust vents, usually at the side of the house, and like a yellow PVC pipe. You want to make sure those are free and clear, because you don't want to have carbon monoxide alarms going off, John.
going back inside. Yeah, that thing always reads 0. Like you have that little carbon monoxide thing. I've never had it read anything other than just like empty. So I'm like, anything on there. And shout out to Fraser, who looked like he was shoveling snow all day, plowing snow all day. So I don't know if you need a Homer Simpson Mr. Plow jacket.
I actually took that to mean more of that he was working for a Colombian cartel. So thank you for clarifying.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
When Fraser said no one's moved as much snow as he has, I honestly thought he was talking about the booger sugar. John, do you have what's coming up?
Fraser, next time you're plowing all that snow, put on a song by Freddie Gibbs called "Push and Wait," and you just be like, "Yeah."
John, do you have what's coming up in the store? Are we doing store stuff?
Yeah. So I've got some fun stuff. If you want to come on down, Rob, and play Price is Right, I've got a couple quick things, and I pulled a couple omnibuses, but I'm keeping it short because I know we really want to talk about our two movies. So let's talk about some fun stuff coming up from going to my guy Sideshow Collectibles, and we're going to talk about some things that you can pre-order with me at the store or whoever your local dealer is, if we want to use that terminology. Not Fraser. He's dealing in something else. Pushing right. Freddie Gibbs. Definitely put it on while you're shoveling snow. It's fun. So let's talk about this one first. Rob, you'll recognize this guy.
Batfleck.
Loading. There you go.
Yeah.
Your boy. Hold on. Let me get this banner off. So so this is, what is this called? The Hell Batman costume?
No, Nightmare Batman. It's a Nightmare Batman.
Nightmare Batman. Yeah. You're right. You are absolutely correct. So this is an Iron Studios 1/10 scale statue. So this is pretty cool. I feel like this is one of the costumes or styles that just really hit for the Snyder cut. So I think it's, some people even when it was still the Whedon cut, I think people still really liked this costume for some reason.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
it's kind of dope. He's got the trench coat on, the goggles, and the big scarf. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
I liked it. Listen, I think the statue looks great. Like for a 1/10 scale, I mean, I think it looks awesome. I mean, that's something you would probably display on. I would display that on my shelf of shelves.
Yeah. So great thing about Iron Studios is they're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the 1/10 scale. So you could mix and match maybe some of your Marvel stuff with your DC stuff and maybe come up with a really cool display. So what do you think something like this would cost, Rob? It's only 1/10 scale. I think you're familiar with this scale.
Yeah, I'm going to put that, if it's Iron Studios, I'm going to put that at about the 200 mark. 175 to 200.
Around 200, yeah. So 170 USD. This one goes for. It's called the Nightmare Batman. Ben Affleck. It actually looks pretty sharp with this lighting and thing going on in the background. So the order due date is when I have to get my order in to guarantee one of these, in theory. Sometimes they go crazy and they just disappear right away. But in theory, if you let whoever your dealer is know by February 9th, you can secure this statue, and then it's coming out sometime. This one's actually not coming out too far away, October, December 2022. So that's the good thing about these smaller statues.
That makes makes a really nice Christmas gift, John, for the end of this year.
It does. Yeah, it would be perfect timing if it's on time. So fingers crossed. Take these release dates with a grain of salt, folks. Next item here is I don't think you're familiar with this guy here. Yeah, pound of snow. From this character is from an anime called My Hero Academia. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
I've
one.
I've heard of it, but it's not. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah,
people enjoy
Itsu Midora is a 1/6 scale resin statue, so it's pretty dynamic. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's from First Four Figures Studio. Really cool piece. It actually glows in the dark. I don't know if you can see it in that little corner there. Apparently, these green things glow in the dark. So if you guys are into anime, you probably already know that this is one of the hottest animes right now. Rob, if you ever have time to check it out, I know you're not an animation person, but maybe if your son checks it out or whatever, you might actually dig this one. It's got like a superhero element. He's training to be a superhero and all kinds of stuff going on. I don't know if you want to guess at this one. Do you want to guess at this one? It's anime licensed.
1/6 scale, you said?
1/6 scale in resin.
350.
350. Oh, look at you. You're pretty. I'd say you're kind of. I think you already knew it was going to be up there. But it's going to be 535 USD. Okay. I don't know if it's because of the license. I don't know if it's because of all the crazy detail going on in there. Or it could just be this company. Maybe they don't make as much as other companies and they just have to charge a little bit more. But this one is pretty cool. Again, due February 9th and coming out sometime in 2023. So this one's a little bit further away, just after the new year. So if you're down with that stuff. And then I got one more to show you, Rob. This is the premium format Venom.
This is
pretty cool. As far as Venom statues go, this is pretty mean. So this is something, even if people don't pre-order this, we might carry this.
It's a silly picture. This is a silly picture.
It's great. Look at that, fits in there so good.
No, but it's a silly picture because it's like if somebody's like really going to be purchasing a Venom statue, they're not going to be putting it next to like a plant and what I can only assume is either a really decorative Kleenex box or a funky little candle next to some fake books. Like it just, if you're gonna then put it next to like a geek room, like so it fits in. Like put it next to like an Xbox or something. Like not something that you just tore off the top of a plant when you're on vacation.
I would like. What's up, Scott? I would like to go to like some poshy resort or something and see this in the lobby like this. I know. Chilling with some really high-end furniture or something. But yeah, it's kind of funny, these renders. I kind of like to see them. They're pretty hilarious. So there's other statues in the line.
Right. Okay.
There's a Carnage and a black costume Spider-Man. Whether they really match or not, I think is up for debate. Maybe this is just not a good picture. But what would you pay for this 1/4 scale premium format statue?
Well, I know. What I would pay is different than what it is. I imagine this is probably a $750 US.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. So this guy is $650 USD. Okay. So very close, about 23 inches tall. These are big pieces. So they're really cool. So if you're looking for something to really become, I feel like these almost have to become a centerpiece, and then you kind of build around it.
Yep.
But if you collect a whole bunch of these, all the power to you. It's gonna suck up a lot of space.
Yeah. And don't leave your apples next to your statues for too long, because eventually they'll just
away. It's always funny. Like, what if you don't eat apples? Like, does that measurement mean anything to you?
But there's a different variety of apples.
Baseball?
I think so, because there's different variety of apples. Like sometimes, like, is that a Royal Gala? What is that? I don't even know what type of apple that is.
Yeah. Maybe there should be, maybe in fine print, maybe I should get the bigger picture. And maybe in fine print, it tells you what type of apple or what is it species? I don't know.
It's a species of apple. Yeah. But I just think it's silly because it could be it's every apple's different sizes. I don't know. I just think having an apple is just a generic thing. I agree with you. A baseball is like, you're not going to mix up a baseball and like a
baseball or a tennis ball. The other statue had pop cans.
Right.
So I feel like that's pretty good. And maybe a little can of Coca-Cola there would be pretty good. Or a stack of Sour Patch candies would be kind of humorous. People would be like, how do I measure that?
You know what you do? Actually, like length of licorice. That's what you do. Just put licorice.
No one has that toxic shit in their house anyway, so don't worry about it. And then we're going to jump to some omnibuses. So me and Rob were talking about omnibus. Rob loves the omnibuses. So we're just going to say omnibuses as many times as we can in this particular episode. So this is the Savage Sword of Conan
omnibus,
original Marvel years omnibus, hardcover volume 6. So there's a lot to say in one title. But if you're looking for some Conan action, I don't know. Have you ever read Savage Sword of Conan back in the day, Rob? It's from 1974.
You know what? I feel like, well, it wouldn't have been. I'm not that old, John. But I would have read some of the stuff probably from the late 70s to early 80s on like a camping trip, like when you used to get them in those those polyurethane bags where it has
Yeah.
like 6 comics and for like $2.99 or whatever.
A lot
right?
of people
So,
remember this Savage sort of Conan because they were magazine sized. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I remember having those. Usually it is the generation up that they kind of request this stuff. So this guy's 125 USD. But we are doing a lot of these omnibuses at US covers. So you can get it for $125 Canadian at Heroes World. There's 2 covers. The bigger picture is, I believe, the direct market cover, and the smaller inset picture is the regular cover. And the stat on this one is 1,016 pages.
Yeah,
and it weighs
huge.
about like 5 to 6 pounds. So yeah, these are pretty heavy. I've shipped a couple of these out before,
right?
But they're really cool. They look good on your shelf. You shove in there. They hold their weight. They can stand on their own. You don't have to have bookshelves holding them up. So they're really cool. And the other one I wanted to shout out was X-Men Mutant Massacre Omnibus. That is just coming out this week. So this is a classic X-Men tale. So if you're into X-Men stuff, it's got a whole list of what's collected in there. Uncanny. This is when they would cross over all the books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this one is going to be, again, 125 USD. Most of these omnibuses fall around that price. Again, in Heroes World, we're selling them for 125 Canadian, the equivalent. So you can really come out ahead on that one. These are wicked deals. And it's about, same thing. It's about 952 pages. So it's pretty thick. I didn't get the exact weight on this one, but I would guess it's probably around 5.
It's about the same.
5 or 6 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. And if people do pick up their omnibus, make sure before you decide to crack it open and read it, you got to stretch the spine. So you just got to lay it down and keep dropping pages and lay it out to stretch that spine. Otherwise the glue will crack. You're paying a lot of money. You don't want something to crack on you after, while you're reading it. So cool. So John, thanks for showing us some cool stuff that you can get at Heroes World. You can do it online or through the store. Just contact John. Again, I'm a big fan of those collected editions, the omnibuses. I've got a few. There's quite a bit coming out this month. This first half of the year, John, that I'm salivating to get my hands on. So
there's a lot of classics available. We've got a whole ton of them on the shelf. So if you ever want to see pictures, I'll try and take some more creative pictures of how they look in your shelving and stuff like that. I think that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Hey, John, I got news, buddy.
Yeah. What do you got?
All right, pal.
What's crazy?
So first of all, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's the Heroes World Sidekick Show. I am Rob Gaudette. This is John Ho, and we are talking 90s action movies. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about the news. Some of the cool things that happened within the last week, John. Hey, John, do you remember in November when we reviewed Red Notice, the movie with Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock? And you said, yo, I could totally see this being a trilogy, and I want that like now. Well, John, your wish is coming true, my friend, because
my wish.
Yes, Cinderella.
I retract the wish, and I want to add the stipulation that it has to be good as well.
Well, the team that brought you Red Notice are in the early stages on Red Notice 2 and 3. They are looking to film both of those movies back to back, John. The director, Marshall Thurber, I think his name is in the midst of just writing the third one. So they are the early stages of I guess you could say production or pre-production. Filming, no update was given, but it's looking like probably 2023-24 once everybody's schedules are freed up to be filming for a couple of months of Red Notice 2 and 3. So that's some news for you there, John. I know you're happy about that.
It has potential. Now that we know it's part of a trilogy, if the first one is establishing those characters and now we're going to get like some weighty stories, then maybe. But that first one definitely didn't quite hit it for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, that's not what you said in the review. All right. Hey, John. Hey, John. Remember when we were talking favorite Christmas movies before the holidays? We did that show.
Yes, and we unanimously decided Jingle All the Way is the Christmas movie of the year.
No, we didn't. And you said that one of your faves was the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Remember that? Well, good news, John.
I never said that.
Good news, John, because the Adventures of Scott Calvin are once again going to be beamed into your eyeballs as Disney Plus is looking to do a sequel series, John. The premise is interesting in that Calvin, once again played by Tim Allen, is in his mid-60s and looking towards retirement and is in the midst of trying to find his predecessor. Production is set to commence in March. I think it's going to be out Christmas of 2023. Maybe they'll push it into this year, but you good for you, John. Ooh. You've got a limited series. It's just going to be called The Santa Claus, which I don't know how you don't make that confusing with the movie, but whatever. You'll be able to see that, John, either this Christmas or next.
What was the catch? Why was it called the Santa Claus? He like signed something, right? And
because he scared Santa off the roof and he died, and there was a card and it said whomever
he killed Santa.
Well, no, the fall killed Santa. He just
the fall in the concrete on the earth.
So, but it was whomever holds this card is now become, and so it was Claus being like two words. It's the Santa, the Claus of it all, like a contract.
I'm with Scott. Who asked for this?
you did, John.
Where's the Twitter? I haven't seen the first one, so I was perfectly satisfied with only having one in the ether. I don't know who brought Tim Allen back. I don't even know what's his recent projects. I don't know.
Last Man Standing was a comedy on Fox. John,
I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. Hey, John, remember how we were talking about one of our collective favorite shows, Justified, and I said, hey, I bet you that we're going to see further adventures of U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens, and you said, yo. You're stupid. Well, guess what, John? I'm not stupid.
Why would I say you're stupid?
You always say I'm stupid.
The Santa Carla diet on like season 10 or something that Timmy Olyphant's all tied up on?
No. Turns out I'm not stupid, John. As word came out last week that Timothy Olyphant will reprise his role as Marshal Givens in a new limited series titled Justified: City Primeval. Now, this is an adaptation of the Elmore Leonard story called City Primeval, which doesn't involve his character of Raylan Givens because he was the person who originally wrote the Justified book. But producers are actually adapting the story and bringing Givens into the City Primeval. Filming, I believe, is to commence this summer, so I imagine we'll see the show in 2023. It's going to be a limited series, John, but you and I are big Justified fans. I know Stu, moderator of the Heroes World podcast, is a big fan. Are you excited to see the further adventures of Marshal Givens?
I am super excited to see Raylan Givens return. And if they bring any of those characters, it's I want to say it's my all-time favorite series. I'm trying to think of what tops it.
You said Airwolf before.
What, Airwolf?
Yeah, you said Airwolf was one of your favorite
shows.
Airwolf?
the helicopter show?
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of Fall Guy than Airwolf.
But, really? With Lee Majors?
Because the truck. I don't remember the show at all, but I remember the truck. The truck was hella cool.
That was BJ.
Yeah, Justified. I think one of my all-time favorites. I think Shield was maybe close, but I didn't like how it ended.
Okay.
And Justified, I think tied it up really well. They didn't kind of like go with any shock value or anything like that. So I'm super excited to see this happen.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I too am excited, John. Hey, John, remember when we were talking about 80s TV shows and you brought up Quantum Leap and you wondered if Sam Beckett leaped into the body of a woman, would he pee standing up or down? And we were like, bro, what the hell's wrong with you? Do you remember that conversation? Anyways, good news,
I think
John.
I asked if he looked in the mirror and he was peeing. What?
No, you were asking if he was a woman, if he would be peeing up or down. Anyways, good news, John. The answer you may get that answer, John, because NBC has greenlit a sequel series pilot to be shot this spring. The story is that 30 years after Dr. Sam Beckett, originally played by Scott Bakula, stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanishes, a new team is assembled to restart the project in hopes of understanding the mysteries behind the machine and the man who invented it. So now there's been no official word of whether or not Bakula is going to be part of this, but I mean, just given the fact that that's the premise, one could probably infer that he will be involved. As I said, the pilot begins filming this spring, and we're going to find out about May or June during the TV upfronts whether or not the new Quantum Leap will be picked up for a full series order. For either the fall or winter of 2023 on NBC.
What's that guy up to? Is that guy on a show right now, Scott? I remember he did that Star Trek show, but that was a while ago, right?
Yeah, and then he was doing one of the NCIS shows, I believe.
Okay,
for a long time. So yeah, he's been busy, but I mean, John, I was a big fan of Quantum Leap. I watched, I think, almost every episode when it came out originally back in the 80s. Are you excited for this?
I'm familiar. I really like the concept. I have watched episodes. I'm not as hardcore as you. I wouldn't
say I was hardcore, but you did ask good questions.
Yeah. And in the entire storyline, I definitely did not follow that. Like when you guys were like talking about the finale and the ending, I definitely didn't see that. So it was one of those things when I was a kid, I guess it would pop on and I would watch it, but I didn't have any way to like follow it back in the day.
Now, I see Frasier's asking us to stop. We're not asking us, but just, I guess, asking the gods that be to stop redoing old shows and make new stuff.
Never. Keep doing them.
I will say that these listen, nostalgia is an itch that just is always needing to be scratched, Frasier. And I think that Quantum Leap is one of those properties because there was no finality to that show. It ended. It was a series finale, but the problem was Dr. Sam Beckett was lost. He never made it home. And it's always been one of those lingering questions. Is he still out there leaping? So I'm personally am excited to see what happens. Hopefully they have better, use of Ziggy than just a Lego brick machine. But and finally,
he'd probably be some type of virtual construct would be my guess.
Like the Matrix?
Maybe.
Like the Matrix Resurrections? You never know. And finally, hey, John, do you remember when we were fans of Joss Whedon?
Well, my audio just cut out.
Sweet. I actually don't have any news to really share with you, John, except for the fact that Joss Whedon gave quite the interesting article in the interview in the New York Magazine. And I'm not really going to run through it here. I will say, though, that if he was hoping that it was going to make people's opinion of him. Yes, John, I can hear you. If he was hoping that it would make people's opinion of him change after the rumors of his on-set behavior, that's not happening. So Gal Gadot has issued a statement earlier this evening saying that she will never work with him again and would highly encourage any of her friends to never work with him. Ray Fisher is going to be making a statement tomorrow based on what Joss Whedon has said. But again, if you would like to go ahead and read that article, it's an interesting read for whichever take you want to go for. It's an interesting read. But I suspect that he thought this was going to, maybe rescue his career. And unfortunately, I think the opposite is going to happen. So John, with that's the news.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, my audio cut out again. I don't know what's up with my setup, but yeah, the Joss Whedon stuff is bonkers.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I guess, upcoming developments with that.
I guess so.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of people are okay with Joss Whedon just straight up disappearing.
Yep.
Which is crazy. I feel like we haven't heard anything from him. So yeah, thank you, Rob, for the news. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. I guess we're almost 30 minutes in, so we should get into.
Well, yeah. Before we do, I want to say, if you haven't had an opportunity to check out the Heroes World podcast, I suggest you do it. We had 3 pretty cool episodes this week. First, we did a review. So this is between with Stu, myself, and John. You can check it out on the Heroes World podcast on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere else, and obviously YouTube. We reviewed spoiler-free quick review of Naomi, the new CW show brought to your eyeballs by Ava DuVernay and her production crew. As well, we did a quick review on the Book of Boba Fett episode. I don't know. Was it 4, John? And it feels like 9. It was 3? Good God. Holy shit. Okay, so there
was titled Biker Mice from Mars.
Team Knight Rider strikes again. Okay. Do you remember that TV show, John? Team Knight Rider? Anyways.
Yes, I do remember that one.
And then we also did a big deep dive into the first 3 episodes of DC's Peacemaker TV show brought to us by James Gunn. So you can check out all 3 of those episodes on the Heroes World YouTube page, as well as on your audio streaming services. So with that, John, we have got, we're kicking off our 80s action bracket. John, who do we have? What's going on?
We have got 2 action hero juggernauts.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. All right, I consider.
Wait, let's throw up your bracket. Let's throw up the bracket.
Oh,
so people can see. So for those who are new and tuning in, we did this bracket up. We picked 1990 to 1994 because the 90s were very heavy with action. And so we tried to whittle it down to what movies we thought between the input of John and I, and then our illustrious crew who like to chime in, our lustful crew who like to chime in. We worked around. I can't speak. English is hard, John. We worked around things.
It's difficult.
Yeah, we worked around things. We came up with a bracket of some movies. So do you have the bracket available there?
Yes, now I do. There we go.
Okay, cool.
Can you see that?
It's a little hard to see, but yeah, we can see it. So today we have Last Action Hero.
Try and zoom in a little bit.
There you go, buddy. Do your magic. Last Action Hero was taking on Universal Soldier. You're gonna have to read the other two because your screen.
Yeah. Okay. So round one consisted of Last Action Hero 1993 versus Universal Soldier 1992. Mm-hmm. Round two, or I guess the next match of round one is Hard Target 1993 versus Last Boy Scout 1991. Next matchup is Under Siege 1992 against fan favorite Toy Soldiers 1991, which I haven't seen, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. And then the fourth matchup is Leon 1994. Leon, aka the Professional, or is it
Correct.
Leon the Professional?
It's called Leon the Professional, but a lot of people just refer to it as the Professional.
Okay, is there Leon the Amateur as a prequel?
Continue with your jokes.
Is there Leon? Okay, so I'll come up with something better. So there's Time Cop 1994. So we have a lot of Van Damme influence in this, and I'm going to apologize when we get to our current today matchup. So today we are talking about Last Action Hero versus Universal Soldier. Almost a moot point because it's going up against True Lies in the next round. But anyways, we're going to have some fun with it. So I hope you guys got a chance to watch these movies and have some fun with us. Do you want to talk about some stats for these movies, Rob?
Yeah, so which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do Universal Soldier first, John? Or Last Action Hero?
Let's go with... Did you finish watching Last Action Hero last time?
Okay, so we'll go with Last Action Hero.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Last Action Hero, John, released June 13th, 1993. The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie had a budget of $85 million and took in $137.3 million at the box office. Movie was has some action movie pedigree as it was written by Shane Black. He of Lethal Weapon fame, and of course, he became a director himself. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3. And this movie was directed by John McTiernan, who also directed John, the greatest action movie of the 80s, Die Hard. This was the first movie to have an advertisement on the side of a rocket that was launched into space, John. I remember seeing that.
Who thought of this idea? Who's seeing this rocket? Are they marketing to aliens? I don't know what's going on.
I remember watching it on TV, and it was like the space shuttle was on the side of the booster rocket, and it was like the Last Action Hero on the side of it. The movie, unfortunately, John, was considered a massive bomb for Sony Studios. The movie lost 47% of its audience the following weekend. It opened up against this. Jurassic Park had opened up the week prior. So it was going up against Jurassic Park's second weekend and got crushed by Steven Spielberg's dinosaurs.
It's a love story about velociraptors, right?
Right. Rotten Tomatoes scores it, John, critic score of 40% with 47% from moviegoers. Again, this was a massive bomb of epic proportions. So, John, does Arnold and John McTiernan strike gold with this movie, or is it a steaming pile of shit?
I like how you just emphasize the latter, and I feel like we all know where you're turning. So, folks, if you have thoughts on Last Action Hero, get them in now in the comments, and we'll hopefully get to that, and then we'll move on to Universal Soldier. So, Last Action Hero, Rob, I thought it was fun. Like, it's funny. It's got a lot of explosions and crazy things, but I feel like maybe it's pulling from the 80s a little too much. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I feel like if the movie, I don't know if it was just before its time, but there's a lot of issues with the storytelling as well. Maybe they needed to jump him into reality sooner and not spend so much time establishing the beginning of the movie. But I still think it's fantastic fun. And when we talk about, I guess we'll talk about it now, rating movies on two things. I think we came up with our main criteria, what we rate a lot of our movies we watch now, right? Yeah. Is rewatchability and world building. So if you want to start adding stuff to that, Rob, let me know. But for rewatchability, I think I would definitely rewatch Last Action Hero before I rewatched Universal Soldier again for some reason. Maybe it's just the tonality, but I kind of regret not throwing Double Impact in Universal Soldier's place. But when we get to Universal Soldier, we'll talk a little more about that. But Rob, did you in fact eject from this movie and not finish it?
Yeah. So John, my memory of this movie, like I saw it when it came out. Now, again, we've mentioned this, and we're going to probably mention it over the numerous weeks while we're doing this. Is that you and I worked in video stores around the time of these movies kind of being out. So I remember this movie coming out on, I don't believe I went to the theater to see it. I definitely remember putting up the VHS tapes on the wall, making the wall the day before it was released. These Last Action Heroes. I remember not enjoying the movie when I first saw it and thinking is something wrong? Like, what is going on? Why? I mean, this is, what did we say? This is 1993. This is 2 years after Arnold had hit with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I mean, directed by the guy who did Die Hard. It has all the recipe for being a massive, like, summer blockbuster. And I just didn't like it. And so at all. And so I remember when this,
perhaps you remember when in Star Trek they introduced a character called Wesley Crusher, who the fans seem to identify too much with. Is that the case with you and this Jake kid? Maybe
interesting. Well, so when I watched it, John, that's a very good. That's a possible because I did probably see myself in that little kid, which sounds a lot dirtier than I meant it to. So when I rewatched it just the other day, I was like, oh, okay, maybe my memory of this is wrong because it had the same music from Lethal Weapon. Like they were doing the parody of action movies, right? But then, like, it got really stupid. Like, in terms of like, I understand. No, but I understand like the parodying of action movies, but then you had like the cartoon cat, you had like all this, like it just became way outside of a parody.
Cat really grabs a bit too much, so I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it became way outside the realm of like of feasibility, like where I could really enjoy it being like this kid. Listen, the premise is the kid gets sucked into a screen and he's part of a movie, but then that world of that movie just became so stupid and way too over top. Like I wish they had kept it as
a fantasy because of that movie ticket thing.
Right, because I really wish they had kept it more in line with the hard action that they kind of set it up to be like. And then when it got to be way too crazy and fantastical, and it wasn't even tongue-in-cheek anymore, it just became a parody of itself. I was like, holy crap. I pulled the ejector. I was an hour and 20 minutes into this, John, and I thought I had been watching this thing for 7 hours. I pulled the ejector seat. I was like, I am not watching any more of this because this is just as bad, if not worse than I remember it. This is not a fun movie. It's not good. Like there are some cool scenes in it, but the sum of its parts don't equal a whole lot of fun. Like I can see why this was a massive bomb and why it's rated so poorly online. I don't know if people's memories of this, like we've talked a lot about this, where your memory of a movie, it pumps up that nostalgia. Like, I remember this being good. And then you rewatch it now, you're like, what was I thinking? But for me, John, I will never, ever see this. I was going to watch this with my son, and I'm so glad he was not in the mood to watch any movies that day. So
I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah, I think
it's horrible.
It needed a lot of work. Like Lewis shouts out the kid calling out all the film tropes, which I think is a fun thing for the first little bit. But if they got into the reality faster, like if they flipped, so I guess you ejected right before they jumped into the real world, which I feel like the movie actually has a little more heart in that end when Arnold's like, like movie magic stuff isn't working and he's trying to figure things out. So I think that would have been a cooler movie if they got to that point faster. But the kid is pretty bad. Like, I don't know if you know, I jotted down a couple just fun things so we could kind of file this it doesn't kind of obtain this cult status where some movies I think will. There's a great sequence where our boy Al Leong, who's the stuntman who appears in everything, he's the Asian guy with the long ponytail, and they're driving in a car, and Arnold explodes an ice cream truck.
Yeah, that was
an ice cream cone stabs him in the head, and he dies from it.
Yeah,
I think that might classify as one of the greatest deaths ever in a movie. Like, I think that's pretty funny. the animated cat was definitely way out there. Did you notice the weird sores on the kid's hand at one point? Like eating popcorn? I don't know what.
Yeah, but because that was the scene leading up to that. Remember, somebody broke into his apartment.
Okay.
And I think he was trying to like fight the guy in this and that. So they were more of like defensive.
I forgot that part. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what's this kid's
because
hand?
It honestly, it made no sense. Like this is like there's a lot. Listen, John, there's a lot in this movie where I think if they had this is 2 hours and was it 18 minutes? They honestly could have dropped this down to about an hour and 45, and it probably would have just been perfect at that amount. Like there's a lot that you don't
maybe an
need
hour 30, just like silly action romp. Fraser shouts out the bondage cop girls, which was really out there. Like I don't know if that would have flew nowadays, like all the way that they had the women dressed up in this one. And shout outs to there's one guy that I thought was absolutely hilarious in it. But it's only good for the one gag. There's a henchman that can't seem to catch anything. I thought that guy was like freaking hilarious. Like, he's like tossing him stuff and he's always like dropping everything. I would be that guy. I'd be like, I'd like, sitting in the back and the guy passed me thing. I just dropped it on the floor. Sorry. Yeah. Let me get this thing here. Would you rewatch? So let's talk a little bit about world building. Would you rewatch anything else in this world? Would you watch Jack Slater trilogy of movies? Would you watch a TV show? No. Okay. No. So
because you know what it is, John. Again, when they started off the movie and it's playing to those that 80s action tropes, because that's what they were, and that when they're using the music from Lethal Weapon and stuff like that, you're like you can completely connect to what it's trying to parody. But then it goes off the rails. Not only do you have like the cartoon cat, but you had those like in the same scene that they, he's talking, the kid's talking about how in law, all the women are beautiful blondes, right? They're all beautiful blondes and this and that. And Jack Slater's like, well, of course, this is Los Angeles. But then you have these women who are wearing like futuristic getup. It was like, what movie are you now? Because the kid's supposed to be in the movie, and this feels like these are characters from a whole different movie being brought in. It made no sense. Like, it got to be just way too much as far as I'm concerned. And now I would love to see where was it Sarah had really wanted us to rewatch this movie, I think. Am I right about that? But did Sarah really want us to rewatch this last year?
I think she enjoyed it, and I think you can still have fun with this movie if you're just looking for a fun time. I think Lewis said he enjoys like kind of like the how silly or stupid it is. I did like the girl who played Arnold's daughter. I think that Sarah's mentioned that she's a fan of hers. She did get to kick some ass, which was pretty funny. There's one point where she kicks a guy in the crotch and lifts him up over her head, and the guy goes flying. Which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think this is gonna obtain that. I don't know what you like, age like a fine wine or whatever you want to call the phrase. So I guess let's move on. Let's talk Universal Soldier. Universal Soldier. You were raving about this director and kinds of stuff like that, right?
Yeah, well, okay, so John, Universal Soldier released July 10th, 1992. This movie is directed by Roland Emmerich and written by Dean Devlin. They're the duo behind Stargate, Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow. Emmerich is the director of the upcoming Moonfall movie. So these guys have definitely created a number of iconic movies throughout the 90s. Universal Soldier stars Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, had a budget of $23 million and brought in $95 million at the box office. Critics were not fans, though, John. They called it a Terminator 2 clone, which I have a tough time understanding where they were coming from. I don't see how that is, but okay. Rotten Tomatoes scores it at 35% with 46% audience score, so not too far off from Last Action Hero. The movie has spawned 5 sequels, John, and there have been rumors of a TV show reboot for years, but nothing has come to fruition. In fact, the last 2 movies, Universal Soldier Regeneration and Day of Reckoning, released in 2009 and 2012, respectively, saw the return of the 2 stars to the franchise. But we're going all the way back, John, to 1992 with the original.
Did you watch any of the sequels?
No.
Okay, so just a quick show of hands. You watched Universal Soldier 1. Who saw Universal Soldier The Return with Goldberg and Michael J. White? Who watched Universal Soldier Regeneration with Jean-Claude Van Damme? The Return of Dolph Lundgren, somehow cloned from his genetic material. left over from Universal Soldier 1. And also I think there's some type of MMA fighter guy. I don't remember what his name was. And then the latest one, Day of Reckoning, which had Scott Adkins as the main star and featured Van Damme and the return of Dolph Lundgren and that MMA or whatever fighter guy. It's probably only me and Gord holding our hands up. But
yeah.
But if you ever watch the last one you mentioned, Day of Reckoning, which is the 2012 one, even if you just watch the trailer, it is friggin' bonkers. It's like this weird horror, like psychological thriller. It makes like I tried to read the Wikipedia summary and I was still like, I don't get it. And I watched the movie. I don't know what happened. But anyways, go on. We're going back to 1992, the best one of all of them.
Yeah, out of 6.
The 2 TV movies I didn't watch, and it's not for lack of trying. You just couldn't get them, but I heard they're absolutely terrible.
I actually feel like I might have watched part of one of those made-for-TV movies, but just turned it off because it was atrocious.
It featured a character who played his brother or something like that.
Sure. So, John, now you're a big Van Damme fan. I would say like that's probably a fair statement.
Yeah.
I think like if somebody was to say, John, give us like your guilty pleasure action movies, your top 10, I would say the majority, 60% would probably be Van Damme movies. So,
yeah.
So does this one hold up for you after having rewatched it? Like, or is this something that is in your back catalog that you throw on every once in a while?
Yeah. So I put this on here because I did want to rewatch it, and I should have known because I think I've rewatched it before, and every time it comes out the same. It I really like the concept. Right. I guess whoever was writing the idea for this and I guess the overall idea for the story is great, but for some reason the execution just doesn't seem to work out for it. So I do regret not sending in something more fun for everybody to watch, like Double Impact, which had 2 Van Dammes, Bull Young, and I forgot what his name, the Shang Tsung guy as the main bad guy, I believe. So I think that would have been more fun, even though it's just a ripoff of Lethal Weapon plot, which is pretty funny. But unfortunately I don't know what it is. So I'm trying to think of what we could have talked about for this. Like worst death is clearly that guy who gets the needle through his head.
Yeah.
That was a very traumatic event. I feel like this movie is borderline horror. With some of the stuff that comes out, like the truck looked hella cool, the truck that they rolled around in, calling them like unisouls and all the terminology. So if we're going to talk world building, this potentially has more to stand on than I guess Last Action Hero. It spawned 6 movies, and you're potentially going to see some type of future rewrite or something like that. And I feel like this concept has been used over. I don't understand the Terminator reference like you. I understand if you started to say stuff like RoboCop or something else along those lines, or maybe bring back his Cyborg, whatever. But
that was a horrible
movie. But it had lots of explosions. It had a decent amount of action scenes. I don't think Van Damme really got to cut loose with his martial arts as much as I would have remembered him to like. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think at one point they say that each of these Universal Soldiers cost $250 million each? Did that seem like just a bit too much for them to throw that information out there?
Yeah, because as far as I'm concerned, once you've developed the technology, everything else is derivative at that point. You should be able to maximize your profits. And lower your costs. It doesn't make sense to me. So John, while like I watched this, and I've been going back to see some other 90s movies that we didn't put on our bracket. Like, listen, I'm a big Seagal fan, so I decided to watch Mark for Death. I watched Executive Decision. I watched Nowhere to Run with Van Damme.
I told you. I warned you.
I know. See, these are all movies that I watched a lot in the 90s because they were really easy to consume. And I remember watching them probably a fair amount of times, not because I thought that they were like stellar movies, but just because they were kind of fun. And I think my 90s, that me in the 90s as a 20-something-year-old I mean, I was probably high a lot, but comparative to now,
high all the time,
right? As a late teen into my 20s, I don't like, I just think that the brain has evolved. And I look back at these, and there are movies that we've discussed from the 80s, like the Lethal Weapon series, like Die Hard, Commando, where it's like, you know, you could keep watching these and they're a hell of a lot of fun. But I felt like Universal Soldier didn't live up to my remembering of my enjoyment of it. This wasn't something I threw on every week, but I watched this movie more than enough times to remember pretty much everything that was going to happen. And I just didn't, and I was like, oh yeah. And it wasn't that actiony. Like, I agree with you. Van Damme didn't really use his martial arts in the movie whatsoever. There's only a couple of scenes. Mostly he's looking for a bag of ice to cool down.
They used an insane amount of ice apparently during the filming of this movie, so much so that the gas station that they bought it from, I read this factoid somewhere, the guy who was selling them the ice became some type of MVP of sales, and they brought him out to some conference because they bought like tons and tons of ice to use for this, like in the background and everywhere. That's like such a funny story that this guy just like his sales quota for like the next 10 years was made because they happened to use this in the movie.
The one thing about this movie is that it is a pretty concise plot. Like it's not convoluted. Like I would argue The Last Action Hero is. It is 90 minutes. It's not, so it doesn't take up a lot of time. It's kind of in it, you know, it lays the groundwork at the beginning. You figure out what's going on in the middle, and then you've got your climactic battle, you know, quote unquote. So it's pretty straightforward. Like, it doesn't go off the rails in any way. It is what it is. And that's the one thing I think about this duo of Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, having just watched The Day After Tomorrow, because why not? We're in the middle of a blizzard anyways. And remembering what Stargate was like, and maybe that will be on our list for the next bracket of 95 onwards. But remembering what those movies were, like, they're, what you see is what you get. And I think that is perfectly summarizes Universal Soldiers. What you see is what you get. It was a modest budget movie with Van Damme had I don't even know if he peaked or if he was if it was filmed before he had peaked, but he was at the start of that. Dolph Lundgren really, aside from Rocky IV, didn't really make a lot of decent movies. So he was more of like that B-list actor.
Yeah. He has a great scene though that in the supermarket where he's like, "They're killing us out there."
Yeah, he's trying to go for his Oscar.
Yeah, he's really going for it in every one of his speeches, which is
yeah. So I just I don't know, John.
It's definitely not Van Damme's peak. I feel like it is at the height, like when he was, I guess you would say, on his rise, and then I think Time Cop, which we have later in the bracket, is maybe where it goes. Like, okay, he could have been like the next level up, but I guess he didn't quite go up there.
Yeah, his star didn't rise far enough.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, this is what it is. I think in retrospect, John, when we are finished this and we talk about great 90s action movies, I don't think either of these two deserve to be in a conversation of great action movies.
Yeah, I would probably I think Universal Soldier serves well as a concept / potential horror movie, which is what I think they were trying to do with that new one, but it just went way too out there. I think Sarah at one point to me mentioned that they were, or in one of our chats mentioned it was basically like zombies. It was like a zombie movie with Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, but that's kind of funny. Yeah, I wish I picked Double Impact, because I think we would have all had a lot of fun with Double Impact. But I think I might have cheated a little too many. Would you have rathered one of those Steven Seagal vehicles that you watched, or are those or
no? It's so funny because I remember, like I said, I watched a lot of those Seagal movies. So like, Above the Law is I own that. I really enjoy that. Under Siege, the first one, which is later on in our list, I'm a big fan of that one. And then I really enjoyed Out for Justice, Marked for Death, and Hard to Kill. I remember, from my memory, Marked for Death I always remembered as being him against the Jamaican drug lords. And then having rewatched it just the other day, it does not hold up to what my memory of it. Now, I did really like Hard to Kill, because that was when he's in the coma and this and that, and he has to train to come back and get his body back in shape and this and that. So I do kind of want to revisit that one. Marked for Death just happened to be on Disney Plus, so I gave it a go. But it was
what a weird concept.
It was a struggle. But Marked for Death was a struggle to get through, and I think I just accepted some of those action stuff, because much like how we have a lot of superhero movies, John, like it made me start to wonder, when you and I are doing this and we're in season 42 and we're like 70 years old and we're looking back at the first 25 Marvel movies, will we respect them as much in 30 years as we do like these older movies? Or will we be like, the passage of time has shown us that some of those Marvel movies that we really loved were just shit? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it really made me wonder, because I did really enjoy this stuff growing up, and now realizing it's atrocious. Like that Mark for Death was just horrible.
Yeah. So Scott makes a good point. Yeah, they were all good movies for their time, but now to go to rewatch them, or the technology or the filmmaking has advanced so far that like you would rather watch like a John Wick or something like that right now.
Yeah, but then why is it though that this Die Hard resonates so well? Why does the Lethal Weapon, like why does Terminator 2 still 1991? It still holds up. Like
I think we're gonna get to it. I think there's certain movies that are like, when we get to True Lies, and so that's why I thought that this bracket was actually going to be a lot smaller than we thought. So maybe we'll see what happens through this bracket, how tight we are on the follow-up bracket, folks. So like keep in mind all your 95 to 99 movies.
They're different.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Because you said it really good last week that a lot of maybe it was this week, a lot of these movies feel like carryovers still from late 80s action movies.
Yeah, some of them look like they're trapped in, like Last Action Hero might have been a good cap off to the 80s movie feels, maybe if he got it out earlier, but it's just kind of messy. And those Seagal movies, I feel like Seagal movies, if those came out like 2 or 3 years earlier, they would have been all on our 80s stuff. But yeah, Scott's saying, yeah, Die Hard, there's going to be some movies like when we get to the next round, we're going to see if any of these kind of fun movies that we threw on are going to be able to stand up.
So what do you think would advance for you, John? What wins this showdown between Last Action Hero and Universal Soldier?
Yeah, so let's cheat a little bit. Everyone in the comments, vote who you want to advance, Last Action Hero or Universal Soldier. My choice would be, I'm gonna base it on the world building, like something that I would actually like to see more of, or see some type of remake of, or something like that. And I would put Universal Soldier through.
I'm really glad you said that, John, because I too would put Universal Soldier through. I definitely think that this is one of the worst Arnold movies. It had a lot of potential, and it just really sucks that for me, it just did not hit. It was just I see why it was a bomb. There's some really good parts in that movie, but it doesn't save it at all.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. Also, so
I'm kind of surprised that nobody mentioned the Stallone. The Stallone.
That was a good gimmick. That was a good gimmick. Even Jean-Claude Van Damme shows up later on when they're
tons of cameos, man. Sharon Stone, Tina Turner. There's a whole bunch of cameos from people, right? The guy from Terminator 2, right? Robert Patrick was in there. He was a cop walking out.
He shoulder bumps on the way out of the police station. Yeah, that was pretty funny. But I feel like I like some of these other scenes in Universal more. Like I really like. I feel like Van Damme's height of his acting in that movie was when his memories start coming back, and he sees, like, he relives the death scene, and then he sees Dolph Lundgren, and then he kind of does this funny, like, looks back, and it's like, that's the guy. that was such a great moment for him. But yeah. I don't know. Did you know that there's an alternate ending to Universal Soldier?
Yeah, I did. You have the I read about it.
It's on my Blu-ray. So this is one of the benefits of owning Blu-ray. There's a bunch of making ofs videos on there, and then there's an alternate ending. And the alternate ending is really strange. There's a point, like, so at the end where he's fighting Dolph Lundgren, Dolph kills the mother, and then Van Damme gets in the fight. And then Van Damme doesn't take the juice. He just somehow overpowers Dolph Lundgren with the kicks and stuff like that. And then after Dolph Lundgren's gone, the father then shoots Van Damme, blaming him for the thing. And then I think there's like this whole weird. So this is where it probably would have got the strike on Yuri, because it starts getting convoluted. As in, I don't think those were his parents. They were like hired to be his parents. And then there's like a whole ending scene where, I don't know if they faked this, that I didn't bother to watch it, but it shows him and the female character walking on a beach at the end. So I don't know if she's making it up in her head, or if he faked his death and somehow survived. it's really weird. So if you ever want to watch it, you can pop it up on YouTube, but I don't think it's worth your time.
Wow.
That girl, she never appeared in anything else. I remember her as Agent Stahl in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. I thought she was pretty funny. And shout outs to a character actually named Veronica. I feel like we don't have that name very much pop up. But yeah. Scott shouts out Bloodshot equals Universal Soldier. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
So if we wanted to see a remake, I guess Bloodshot would be the closest thing right now, and it doesn't quite cut it either. So it's unfortunate.
Well, yeah, Bloodshot is on Prime right now. And I just checked, John. Double Impact is also on Prime. If people really wanted to go back and rewatch that, what you would probably wish you had slid in.
I would slide that in and have the next round be True Lies versus Double Impact, and I think that would have been fun. True Lies is of course going to win whatever this next round is, no matter what. But next
is it, John? Is it though?
True Lies is fantastic. I think you haven't watched it recently.
No, I did. I did watch it recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually showed my son. So yeah, no, I have seen it. Yeah, it's just too bad. It is what it is. But yeah, these movies. Sorry. The reason I'm rambling is because I had a thought and didn't want to lose it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Van Damme, like for me, I think of a great Van Damme. I think of Bloodsport. How do you not? That really showcased his fighting skills, and at least in Universal Soldier, definitely nowhere to run. That is sorely missing. Do you think that he wanted to be like he was picking roles that were trying to focus more on his acting ability as opposed to his fighting?
I think for sure. You'd have to go back and take through his interviews and stuff like that. But I think 100% because those were all around the same time, right? So it looked like he was trying a bunch of different things and floating them around. And then later on, he does it with JVCD.
But that's like 20 something years later, and
that's like after his career is over. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like he unfortunately missed it. We'll see when we get to Time Cop. Of the upcoming movies, I don't think Time Cop is my favorite. I think Hard Target. I don't know if we're doing that next week or not.
Well, what's to bring up the bracket? Let's take a look at what we have for next week.
Let me share this here. So if we're going in order of the bracket, it would be Hard Target versus Last Boy Scout.
All right.
Which I think are going to be two very fun films. But Last Boy Scout, I feel like I haven't watched in its entirety in like forever. I think I only watched it at a friend's house when I was a young age.
The Last Boy Scout?
Yeah, Last Boy Scout. I don't think I ever watched it like on my home video or on my own.
Yeah, I've seen it a fair amount of times, unfortunately. Okay, so just for those who are wondering, the Last Boy Scout is currently on Crave under the Stars subscription if you have that, or on Tubi. I believe Tubi is a free service, John. There's ads you have to watch. So you can watch it there. And Hard Target, John, is unfortunately not streaming right. Yeah.
You should own it anyways.
It is not streaming right now, John. So you can rent it if you'd like, or I'm sure you have other ways of grabbing it. But that is the second movie, I believe, that John Woo did. American movie, right? The first one being Broken Arrow with John Travolta, or is it the other way around?
No, I think Broken Arrow was first. I think Broken Arrow was first. Yeah.
Okay. Hard Target, I know it was 1993. I'm going to quickly take a look at when Broken Arrow was, because I sometimes get those ones confused as to which one came out first. Broken Arrow was 96. No, it was Hard Target. Hard Target was the first John Woo American movie that he directed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then Broken Arrow with Travolta. Yeah, because that makes sense, because Travolta was still riding high off of the Pulp Fiction from 1994. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you guys, I think it serves you well if you want to check out Hard Target. I think I want it to live up to my memories of this movie, and I think it fits into that fun factor category that I wish we maybe would have thought about a little bit hard, or I wish I thought about a little bit harder when we were throwing out the original ones. But yeah, peace out, Scott. Thank you for joining us. Anything else we want to cover, Rob?
No, I don't think so. It's a big.
Let me advance this. So are we? I think we're officially advancing Universal Soldier, right?
Oh yeah.
We got a split vote in the chat, and then someone just shouted out True Lies. So I feel like it's gonna happen. So Universal Soldier. Of course, it's not gonna let me do it. Anyways, I thought we were going to be able to see it on the screen, but it's causing this glitch again. So anyways, Universal Soldier is going to go up against True Lies. And it's not going to make it farther than that. Spoiler alert.
True enough. So no, that's about it. So I thanks everybody who tuned in tonight to the show. Again, next week is Hard Target versus what did we
Last
just
Boy
say?
Scout.
The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah. So Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and the bad guy's played by, I want to say it's Billy Zane.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since I've seen it because I wasn't a big fan of the mullet, but whatever.
Yeah. But no, when you watch it, you are gonna laugh. I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this movie. I'm pretty sure generally all of us will enjoy this movie, especially if you are a John Woo fan. And it is ridiculously over the top, even if you just watch a trailer. I forget who else is in it. I think I forgot what his name is. The guy from like that Nemesis movie and FX and stuff like that. I forgot what his name is. And Yancey Butler, your girl Yancey Butler.
Yeah,
from Witchblade. Last Boy Scout has Bruce Willis and
Lance Henriksen is in it.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen. That was it.
Oh no, it's not Billy Zane. It's Arnold Vosloo.
Oh,
he was the
generic bad guy.
Yeah, Yancey Butler.
Destined to play bad guys. So shout out to Yancey Butler. I feel like we could do a whole Van Damme bracket and rate like the female leads that share the screen with them. Who is your favorite?
The only thing I remember about this movie, I remember I watched it a lot, but it was like because I was really big on John Woo with Hard Boiled and stuff. But it was like I remember going to the theater and it's like, why do they call you Chance? Because my mama took one.
Yeah. My name is Chance.
Yeah, because Van Damme is either he's either from Europe or like from France, or he's from Quebec, Canada, because of his accent, which is not French whatsoever.
Yeah, but this time he's from New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans, because they speak French.
Let's rock it. Let's rock it. And the plot is pretty much a plot that was used a lot in this era of movies.
Yeah. So definitely thank you so much, everybody who tuned in. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, have your notification bells ready to go, because John, while we've been talking, I've been waiting. Jesse had made a comment earlier, and I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, the Moon Knight, right?
About the Moon Knight trailer, and that is broadcasting tonight during the NFL wildcard game. And so I keep looking. Disney, it is premiering March the 30th, and it still hasn't come out yet. The trailer is not coming out. It will be out sometime in the next little bit. Interesting fun fact, John, that trailer is supposed to drop at the exact moment, or in a moment when the moon is completely 100% full, as a full moon. So that's interesting.
Okay.
Okay. But so there you go. So Jesse, if you wanted to know about the Moon Knight, the reason we didn't bring it up in news is because I was kind of waiting to see if the trailer was going to drop during the show.
So if you run your schedule by when the full moon comes out, that's when you turn on your computer and watch the Moon Knight trailer.
But definitely have your notification bells on, so in the event that any trailer reactions happen, they drop, please join us this coming week. I'm sure we're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett, rather.
You do it every time
because one's just much better than the other.
You can guarantee we're talking about Peacemaker
and Peacemaker.
Fett. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna keep going, but at any rate, and then also Andre and Jesse do TGIFs on.
Yes,
Friday,
they just came back. So if you haven't watched that episode, they came back with pretty much an all comic episode last week. So that is available on our Twitch and our YouTube feed right now, and I will add it to the audio feed very soon. Just behind on my downloading of stuff, getting it all up and running.
There we go. So thanks everybody, appreciate it. We'll see you next week for Last Boy Scout versus Hard Target. This is the 90s action bracket. This is John Ho. I'm Rob Gadet, and this is the Heroes World Sidekick Show.
Very well. I guess we got to press end on this. I thought you were going to press it. Anyways, peace out, folks.